Welcome back. My name is Harlan Merriam with Attune Investments. This is a third video in a series that we're doing. There'll be another video next week on FIRE, Financial Independence So You Can Retire Early, F.I.R.E. We've looked at what FIRE is, and we've looked at three ways you can get your financial independence on FIRE. What are we going to cover today, Mike?
All right, I'm Mike Jacobson, and this week we are looking at compounding, what it is, the power of time and rates of return, and a suggested amount to start investing.
So we're going to look at those three. The first one there is, what is compounding? What is compounding, Mike?
And that's when an investment's earnings continue to earn.
Help me understand that a little bit more. What does that mean?
It means not only the original investment, but also the earnings on that investment keep earning and growing over time. So, for example, last week you talked about when you took money into the bank, and at the end of the year they would pay you interest. So at the end of the year, you have a little more than you started. At the end of the second year, not only your initial contribution into that account earned money, but also the interest you earned additional interest.
Yeah. Okay. That's what compounding is. That's different, isn't it, than putting money under a mattress, isn't it, Mike?
Like this?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. When I put my money under a
Yes.
mattress at the end of a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, I'll have my money, $10,000. If I put under the mattress, I'll have that.
Yes, you'll still have the $10,000 and an old mattress. And so there's no compounding, no using the power of compounding.
Yeah, no compounding if you just stick it under the mattress. Well, what happens if we do? I mean, put it into something other than a mattress here, but there's a really smart guy that spoke about compounding a while back, didn't he?
Yes, Albert Einstein. In fact, he said compound interest may be the most powerful force in the universe. And we do see compounding in many places in life. We see it with our children. They start as infants, and you can just see how much more they learn, on a daily basis, as they continue to grow. And it's quite remarkable. We also see it in trees. They start out very small and grow massively.
Yeah, so under a mattress, no real growth, no compounding. What happens if we do put our money somewhere else where it gets some compounding going, Mike? Show us what that would look like.
Okay, let's say you take $10,000, invest it, and get an 8% return on your investment. And we're going to let that compound over 30 years. But let's say, interesting, in the first 9 years, it practically doubles to almost 20,000.
Wow.
And
So 10,000 if I just stuck it on the mattress, 20,000 if I let it compound.
yes. And then after 18 years, it doubles again to about 40,000. Remember, you started with 10, 18 years later, you now have 40,000.
Wow.
And now we take it now to 27 years, it doubles again to 80,000. And then at 30 years, you have over $100,000.
So my 10,000 under the mattress, if I put it somewhere where it can compound, where it can get a return, and that return gets a return, one $10,000 investment can turn into $100,000.
Yes, that's right.
That's significant. What happens at something other than 8% returns here, Mike? If I were to be able to get a better return than 8% on that $10,000.
Okay, let's take a look at that. So here we have 8%. We just saw it becomes $100,000 in 30 years. Well, if we just say, for example, put it into CDs that we're getting 4% return on investment, 30 years, you have $32,000. So by doubling the return from 4% to 8%, we tripled our ending value of our nest egg.
I mean that's significant, and 8% is fairly doable. Most people will tell you 8% is, if you're careful, is very, very possible. What happens at 12%, Mike?
At 12%, it increases quite a bit. Now you're looking at 300,000 after 30 years.
So if we just get a little bit more of a rate of return, we can triple our money in 30 years rather than, wow, that's significant. And I see 16% up there.
Yes. So, now, remember, this was an initial $10,000 investment. And after 30 years, it would grow to 850,000.
A single 10,000 growing to 800,000 or more. Is 16% really possible, Mike?
Yes, I know people doing it consistently.
So, and we'll talk about that in later episodes here of how you might get past that 8% and be able to really use the power of compounding quite a bit. But Mike, what if instead of just a single investment in year one of $10,000, what if I put $10,000 in every year over those 30 years? Would that make a difference?
Yes, it would. And here you have it. This assumes putting in 10,000 every year, 8% return on investment. For the 30 years, then you would have over a million, 1.13 million after the 30 years.
And if I remember right, a single investment took us to $100,000. If I just put in $10,000 a year, quite doable, it'd take me to over $1 million. Compounding, Einstein was right. Compounding is quite a power in this universe in which we live here, for sure. That's significant. But it's something we not only see with our money, as we've already looked at, right, Mike? We've noted that we see it in nature around us.
Yes, we do. So just like a small seedling that can grow over time to a much larger plant, our money can grow significantly thanks to the effect of compounding.
So we've looked at what compounding is, not only our initial investment, but the return on the investment, gaining an additional return year after year after year at different rates of return can be significant. And you know, the question that comes to me now, Mike, and maybe our last point today is, but how much should I invest? How much should I put in every year in order to get to where I need to get?
But you told us your grandmother taught you to invest at least 10 cents out of every dollar. And
so 10% is a starting place. It was for me. I know a lot of people talk about it that way.
Yeah, that would be a starting place, and I kind of see it as a minimum for getting to FIRE.
Okay. And it's possible to live on, I've learned it, to live on 90% of what I make and invest the other 10% over time in order to get where I want to get to. And I've arrived there now in my life, and hopefully other people will too. You have to make some adjustments.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you choose not to buy anything on payments. That's one of the traps. As your income increases, you buy something else. But if you can choose to invest at least a significant portion of that increase, then you'll make better progress toward the financial freedom and FIRE.
Yeah, this goal of retiring early and getting that financial freedom. It's kind of like a snowball here, Mike, isn't it? This growth that happens over time, it just keeps compounding on itself here.
Yes, it is. A lot of people are familiar with the debt snowball, where you end up paying off debts. You focus on one to pay it off faster. When that's gone, then you continue paying the amounts you were paying on the others and use all the money you're using to pay off debts and gradually pay the others off faster and faster. And that wipes out one debt at a time. My wife and I also discovered a wealth snowball. So after retiring, our wealth continued to grow like a snowball, compounding as it rolls along. So, even after we started withdrawing, from the nest egg, we're able to continue to grow.
So the snowball doesn't stop when you retired. It kept growing and growing since your retirement as well, which is quite an added benefit here of learning how to work FIRE.
That's right.
And 10% is a good starting place. We recommend folks start at 10%. So get your returns growing along with your initial investments, invest something over time and get the best return you can, starting at 10%, just a small amount, and go with that. Next week, where are we going to go with this, Mike?
Next week, we'll be talking about milestones. So we'll be talking about, some of these take a while to get there, but you want to be able to celebrate those, recognize and celebrate.
Okay, so on your way to FIRE, financial independence to retire early, let's pick some milestones out where you can recognize you've achieved it and celebrate that along the way. See you next week.